red. My dad's favorite. Hogan's. Every episode.
Welcome, Christine. So we're happy to welcome you for the work session and the FY23 budget revenue assumptions. Revenue. Welcome.
Ken, can I get my presentation? Or you get there. It's not because I'm not. Handler, budget manager. I'm going to go over revenue assumptions.
We're not sharing it.
Madam President?
Oh, we're not on there.
Yep, it's not going out onto the internet. But it looks like it is now.
There we go.
All right.
Okay. Good to go.
New revenue assumptions. New revenue being the revenue that's going to into the district with an FY. Not up, and it's also updated. But as we are assumptions, we go through the budgeting process. There's balancing items. Funds, that type of stuff is not something I make new money that's coming into the, so that's kind of why I call it new revenue. Make it easier to understand. So ACHD for property taxes fund, reg fees and impact fees. So currently the property, as we understand it today, during the FY22-23 budget, we projected the FY23 cert $48.3 million, which was last year's, which was the FY22 certification with the 3% new or 3% increase. It's a planning basis have used for the second year. So as you'll see, the currently approved for FY22 is $45.2 million. Below that, I have detailed out the allowable increases. The 3% new construction roll, morning, so that 1.6 million will be home. It truer information from the assessor's office. The construction roll calculation was one that was really open. And then the opportunity, a 1% of the foregone, and then 3% of foregone. Resolutions are required for both of those. If you'll recall, last percent foregone for maintenance and operations. And then that link is to a video explaining the assessment process through billing calculations. About a 9-minute video. It's very helpful. The property tax symposium in January. It was done by the Association of Idaho. So it goes through every, including those with, I'd encourage you to look at that. We're not gonna watch it all together, but if you have any questions or to it, be sure to let me know.
Okay, thank you for providing that.
So with Highway Users Fund, we currently are projecting about $40.6 million. So I have this called as old revenue, which is, ITD calls it, and House Bill 312. There is Senate Bill 12.1 that was signed, removing reporting requirement for funds related to House. So in the future, you'll just see that as revenue. And that should be 39.8 million. Apparently I didn't do math. Okay. And then we also projection in 2023 budget, we projected $1.5 million from this. Updated projections for FY22 means we could be seeing an initial 80 million distribution account and to the locals and up 18%.
Madam President.
Commissioner McKinney.
Christine, on that particular item, help me understand this. The projection for 2023 is 1.5 million, but for 22 we're saying could be 5 million per year. I'm a little bit confused. Help me understand
So
this.
I apologize. Madam President, Commissioner, the 1.5 million adopted with the 22-23 budget. So we'll be updating the, as we go through, finalize more on the revenue side, as we get more until the legislature's wrap final direction and so in FY22 its second adjustment, you'll likely see a budget. So 362 is I believe it's sales, and the state is significantly ahead of projections. So we had anticipated to have $4 million allocated to the local districts in FY22. So when we multiplied that by our 18% allocation, for FY22, it shows that it'll be about $750,000. But right now they're looking at a projection of about 25 to 27 million. So that's where we're seeing that we could receive up to $5 million because we're ahead of those projections. Because the projections used for FY22 were then rolled into FY23 with moderate growth established.
Okay, so in other words, the 1.5 million is based on a projection
From a year ago.
from last year, and so the facts are it may actually be up to 5 million per year.
Correct.
Okay.
And you'll see all this, I'll come back and we'll discuss where those revenue projections landed, kind of some more of the history on it by the time we get to balancing the overall budget. Typically, the legislatures or the state has begun their new fiscal year, so we have a lot of those final numbers, so we can kind of do projections off of those, especially these items that have a calculation based off of them.
Thank you.
Current projection for FY23 is $12.9 million. Again, the current, we've talked about this several times, ballot measure will sunset January 1st of 2029. I just took some verbiage from the ballot measure related to, they increased the vehicle registration from $20 to $40 for new vehicles, and then that increase was to be used for safe routes to school and congestion management. And those are what we track through our VRF, community program projects. Development impact fees, we are planning on about $24.5 million in those. We'll keep an eye on that. That kind of can fluctuate. Typically, we've been going up with our projections and impact fees because we're just not seeing any slowdown related to that. Also, in the development arena, we have the inspection fees for both subdivision zones and then the fiber and plan review fees, plat, street names. So those are all of the fees development and technical services do. A lot of those are paying for staff or on the street name signs. That has an equal expense in the traffic operations budget for those signs that developers pay. And then just some other revenue sources. Sales tax, we get about between $2.5 and $3 million a year from sales tax. Property disposals and equipment disposals are often more fluctuating. This year we're not doing an auction, so the equipment disposal is zero. Then as we continue to work through the process, the new fleet manager getting on, the replacement schedule, we'll see those, as well as the license agreements and street vacations. Project-related revenue for both cost share and federal aid, those are determined when we know projects are going to be programmed. Cost share are those projects where the city wants to replace the sewer at the same time we're rebuilding the road. So it saves them money and then they just pay for their portion as it's built. And then federal aid are those agreements that we make when we get funding from ITD for the design, right-of-way, and construction of those projects. Depending on which phase the projects are in will depend what type of revenue we program. So currently we're looking at $138.2 million of new revenue projected. This will, excuse me, this is likely to change. We have rescheduled projects that happen. If we're going to use some priority corridor funding, if we're pulling projects forward that need funding, and we'll go with that. So this is just an early swath at that. This is, again, new revenue coming into the district in FY23. just kind of wanted to go over a couple of the planning assumptions right now. Again, like I mentioned, we do have the property tax certification with an assumption of 3% plus new construction roll. We did not include any amounts from the foregone. There is the one-time transportation funding bill. We're likely to get that in FY22. We'll be reserving it. Those are those funds related to the bill that was just signed by the governor leading Idaho. Yep. And for Highway 16 impacts. And then the House Bill 772 was an allocation of funding from the ITD's budget to the local highway distribution fund. Again, ACHD receives 18% of anything going to locals, and so we're estimating at about $14.4 million. So the next steps will be coming before you May 11th to do a capital project FY23 session, really dig in and look at what projects we're planning for 23 and 24. This is something a little different, especially since we're not doing an integrated 5-year work plan adoption this year. So we're trying to make sure that we're getting that information out to you early and having those really in-depth conversations. May 18th is the plan to have an initial balancing work session. All budget submissions are due to me by the end of April. So my goal then would be to put together at least some sort of semblance of a balanced budget that we can kind of talk about any large variances or items that came in. My goal is then the middle-ish of June to have balanced packets, fully balanced packets distributed to the commission a couple weeks ahead of our kind of deep dive line by line budget work sessions on July 6th being revenue and operations, and then the 13th being more on the capital side. August 3rd, revised packet work session as needed. Sometimes we'll have several changes at the July work sessions. That gives me a couple weeks to get it back, because right after that work session, I send off the publication, the newspaper, for our public hearing. And then August 24th is our public hearing.
Just around the corner.
Madam President.
Thank you, Christine. Commissioner Pickering.
Christine, can you expand a little bit on what will be in that what will be in the balance packets that are going to be distributed in on June 15th?
So similar to what they were last year is it'll have every department, the first couple sheets are usually a memo describing details. Then I go into the revenue. You'll see all of the revenue line items, all of the revenue sources that we're planning to receive. Then there will be summary sheets for each division, each department, by category, if as necessary, so that you can see, okay, we have this much revenues and this much in expenses, and here's where it's coming and here's where it's planned to go. That make sense? Okay.
Thank you. Any other questions? Commissioner McKinney?
Yes, thank you. Christine, just could we go back one slide?
Nope. I apologize. I only go forward. Shouldn't even have that button on there.
All right, here we go. Okay.
Like
So
driving a car.
the center portion here, that one-time transportation funding bill, that was the bill that was signed by the governor, and we went to the signing ceremony of it last week and so on. Those funds are specifically designated for the Highway 16 projects.
Correct.
Is that correct? They can't be used for anything else. Is that, unless there's some excess, I guess?
I've not seen the verbiage of the bill or of the thing that the governor signed, so I've not digested that as far as that goes. I'm not 100% sure on the allocation of that. My understanding is that it will be used for Highway 16 impacts.
Okay.
We will be receiving it in FY22 as a lump sum. So it will be something that we will see in years forward. I don't know if we'll see any in FY23, but it'll be something that'll be, I'll call it a balancing revenue item. It'll be utilizing leading Idaho plan revenue. So you'll see it as a revenue, but really we're just pulling it out of a reservation account.
Okay.
So it's not something new coming through the door.
Okay. And so then the bottom item, then that 14.4 million, that's a separate thing likewise, that's another separate lump sum
Yeah.
that we're receiving, or at this point, are we just assuming we're receiving it, or is it certain?
Well, it was put on the governor's desk apparently on Monday. I haven't done any, I didn't check today if, he had signed it or anything. I think we're fairly confident on it, and I don't know all the requirements related, or if there are any, tracking or, reporting requirements.
So if we take that 36.5 million and the 14.4, we're looking basically 50 million, give or take.
Mhm.
So if we go back one more slide from this one, sorry, there we go.
Oh, I did it.
Is that 50 million included in these numbers here or not? Is it on top
No.
of these numbers?
No, it's not included in these numbers. These numbers is revenue that we expect to receive in FY '23.
But just from the standard revenue sources that you've already gone through?
Correct.
Okay,
While the second and third bullet is items that will be categorized as revenue when we program projects that can utilize those funds. So these will be shown still as revenue
mm-hmm,
in a future budget, but they'll be kind of below all of the new revenue. So that when people look at the financials, they can say, well, you're gonna receive 134 million, but you're saying you're gonna spend 150. So the variance between those two is 14 million, and you can dig in and say, oh, it looks like 10 million is related to Leading Idaho Plan for Highway 16, showing that balance.
okay, all right.
Thank you, Christine. On the planning assumption that HB 772, this is that 60-40 split, 40 for the locals, and then the 18% is our share of that. And then the one-time transportation funding bill, you probably heard me say this, it wasn't 40 million, it wasn't 35 million. This was a specific ask specific to the mitigation of the impacts of Highway 16. So the expectation and the reasoning given for that is specifically to that project.
And Madam President, I
Commissioner Hanson.
yeah, Madam President, and I assume that since we use a countywide service area and the impacts are countywide, that's the way we will apply the one-time transportation funding as well. That's actually probably not necessarily your question to answer, but it's policy since we use a countywide impact area. Yep,
Which one are you talking about? HB 772, one-time money or what?
both of them.
I think the one-time funding here, the 36.5, the specific asks were for the intersections that are impacted by Highway 16.
Yep.
That was the ask. Yeah.
My assumption is that the planning department and myself will get together. We'll figure out some way that we can begin so that we can track those and know where those funds are being spent on which projects.
Very good. Thank you, Christine.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments? No? No? Okay. Thank you very much. It's nice to have these kinds of briefings with new money coming in.
Madam President, Commissioners, since we have allocated the start of the pre-commission meeting at 5:30, we will be waiting till then to start.
Oh,
So you're on break.
all right. Ooh, it's a long break.
Madam President, Commissioners, it's now 5:30.
All right, thank you very much, Director Wong. Welcome everyone to our pre-commission. And we will start by asking if any commissioners have any comments, concerns under general housekeeping that you would like to address. All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the agenda. Any comments, concerns about the agenda?
Madam President, if I could, what I'd like to recommend to the Commission is in your regular agenda, if you would move item 2 to number 1 and item 1 to number 2, I think it'll best benefit the families and the award winners that will be joining us at 6 o'clock tonight. And then secondly, Madam President, on the resolution number 2375, as a reminder, please open the public hearing, then close the public hearing, and ask for a motion to accept the withdrawal.
We will do that motion after we close the public hearing?
Yes.
Open and close.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Okay.
Commissioners will need someone to make that motion.
So this is going away? Okay.
All right. No other concerns about the agenda? Director Wong?
Thank you. Madam President, Commissioners, before I start, I would like to ask Jennifer to introduce one of our newest members of our team.
Very good. Welcome, Ms. Behringer.
Thank you, Madam President, Commissioners. For the record, Jennifer Behringer, Deputy Director of Maintenance. I'm very excited to introduce to you tonight our new Fleet Manager, Joe Schoen. Joe, if you could stand, please.
Welcome.
Joe comes to us from the private sector and brings with him deep experience in fleet management, including executing strategic fleet goals and maximizing use of technology to increase production and equipment utilization. His background also includes years of heavy equipment management experience and asset lifecycle expertise. He is an active member of the Association of Equipment Management Professionals and has been a past instructor for the association. He comes with an incredible enthusiasm and a strong ethos of building relationships and trust at all levels through collaborative and open communication. As the fleet manager, Joe will be responsible for all aspects of fleet operations, focusing on strategic fleet planning, budgeting, procurement, and managing our replacement schedules, as Christine alluded to. Joe has hit the ground running. You'll be seeing him at a lot of future commission meetings for all of our equipment purchases that come to your level. So please help me in welcoming Joe Schoen to the team.
Welcome. Welcome, Joe. Glad to have you.
Madam President, Commissioners, a little bit of sad news. During the break, I was notified that our all flags in the country are being flown at half staff right now. Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State, a tremendous Secretary of State, has passed away.
Sorry to hear that. Thank you.
Commissioners, before I get into the meat of my presentation today, a couple things. First off, in front of you, have this chart. Last week you asked to see where our team members reside and such. The legend's on the side, so we prepared that for you. Commissioners, you also have in front of you something that our communications team has put together regarding VRF. We want to start the conversations now as you consider continuing the VRF ballot issue. And so there are a lot of great questions here that we're be putting out on the website just to start educating the public a little bit more about what VRF is and the importance of VRF going forward.
Madam President,
Commissioner.
Bruce, will we be utilizing any other form of social media other than just our website to get people to understand these things before we vote again, if we do?
Madam President, Commissioner Goldthorpe, I'm very confident we'll be using all sources of media. And then finally, in front of you, you have our latest poll results on commission meeting times that you asked us to work through. We have more questions coming in. We'll keep you posted on a weekly basis as to what they say. So commissioners, again, good afternoon. Great to see you all here. First, I want to thank all of you again for the opportunity you afforded us during our recent budget presentations. This was a huge success for all involved, and I do believe that you enjoyed this new aspect of ACHD budget strategy as much as we did. One thing we did not do, and that was to share a few of each division's FY21 highlights during our briefing regarding our 21 allocations and expenditures. I would like to briefly do that now. For communications, she's right there. We are finally fully staffed, and Shandy has reminded me to say that this is an amazing staff. Did I get that right? Okay, thank you. And as such, we've increased ACHD's proactive communication efforts through social media by 64 to 222% on the various platforms. Moreover, we have hosted 25 online community engagement efforts, a first for the district. Overall, we have taken communications to a new direction and are reaching more customers ever than before. For plans and projects, we have crafted and you have adopted the Livable Streets Performance Measures Project, which, by the way, was a winner of the APA Idaho, Compass Leadership and In Motion and WTS Awards. We've completed the first neighborhood plan cycle plan. We've crafted and you have adopted the FY22-26 Integrated 5-Year Work Plan, which embraced for the first time the enhanced maintenance strategy going forward. We've built the Casa Street Bikeway and Pedestrian Improvements Project in concert with D&T, completed this award-winning Gowan Bridge Project, and completed the Maple Grove Victory to Overland Project. We've acquired 100 parcels and achieved 13 right-of-way certifications. We've implemented bundle projects and other strategies to increase design capability and efficiency. For D&T, we have upgraded the school zone flashing beacon system to be able to be programmed remotely. This is huge. Implemented the Red Before PED signalization, began construction of the first of our large bridges, which was the Gowan Road Bridge in conjunction with plans and projects. And we've acquired the parcel for the basin and new monitoring system for East State Street in Meridian. And we finalized our strategy to develop the Franklin property for our traffic operations. For maintenance, due to an unprecedented shortfall in temporary employees and flaggers, maintenance built their first ever consolidated chip seal team and completed 294 miles of chip sealing this season. They crafted and established both the Eustic and Apple maintenance complex strategies for ACHD's operations expansions, and they installed an innovative dewatering system to capture subsurface water at East Shenandoah Drive in Roanoke, working closely with multiple departments to include our engineering team to design the system, Boise City Parks to lower the water, and our utility crew to install the system and reinstall curb gutter sidewalks. It was a tremendous year. For accounting, we performed a significant cleanup of the accounting purchase orders, resulting in a 50% reduction in paperwork. With the district efforts to address current and projected market conditions and to remain competitive in the employment process, multiple accounting system profiles were modified and are created to enable us to process all these new ideas and innovations across the world. Finally, for accounting, they aced the annual audit. For HR, and she's here today too, HR kept ACHD afloat by filling 116 positions in FY21. They crafted and implemented ACH's new benefit incentive and new policies. They consistently updated the district's COVID protocols to meet challenging conditions, tracking and communicating with team members directly impacted by COVID and getting team members back to work. They achieved ACHD's lowest worker compensation rate in the last 20 years. And they energized ACHD's biometric screening and health fairs. Commissioners, going forward with the FY24 budget process, we will include these highlights in our initial presentations for you all as we move forward. Under ACHD's culture that people are profit centers, not cost centers. Last week, you asked us how our additional benefits programs worked from its 2021 inception to recruit and retain the best. As a review, in late 2021, we implemented new strategies to be on the leading edge of government operations. Just to name a few, we established a targeted sign-on bonuses. We increased ACHD's PTO accrual. We established ACHD's 2-3 hybrid work from home program. We enhanced the career retention program with cash incentives at the 5, 10, 15, and 20-year points. We enhanced parental leave program with 12 weeks of paid parental leave. We established the PERSI 401k match, and we established ACHC's dependent care flex contribution, which I will let you know if you're watching the legislature today, that was an issue that was in front of them. I don't know what they finally voted on, but I'd like to say we kind of led the charge on that. As I shared with you yesterday, we also are improving both of our Uber and per diem policies to better align them with today's markets, reduce accounting costs, and enhance our team members' training experience. As with any program, commissioners, initiative or change, we will watch this closely and report back to you in October on how this has benefited ACHD. However, as an initial review, I offer the following positive trends for FY22. Our sign-on bonus program has significantly increased our ability to fill critical positions. We went from one to full up for traffic engineers. Thank you, commissioners. We historically have struggled in both in bringing on electronic and signal techs. We are now only 2 down from your authorizations. Although we do have a few openings, and most are due to internal promotions, which is a good deal, we went from very bad staffing numbers to good numbers for our inspectors. We have dramatically increased our D&T design and planning staff rosters, and as you were recently briefed, we'll be coming back to ask you for some more in 2023. We are now healthy in plans and projects. Planners and project managers are at 100% staff. We continue to improve in GEOs, but it is a consistent struggle as we are now competing with a more aggressive private sector, and this will only get more intense as time goes on. As to retention, ACHE's turnover rate has also benefited from our new team member initiatives. In 2019, the turnover rate was 7.2%. In 2020, it was 10.5%. In 2021, it was 17.1%. However, we introduced the added benefits in late 2021, and I'm proud to share with you today that in 2022, halfway through the year, we are at 2.1% turnover rate. As you recall from my report on our 2021 climate assessment, 93% of our team members in the 2 to 10 year groups have stated they now intend to make a full career at ACHD. Truly reflective of ACHD's culture and support, and truly new as we go forward. In summary, for this initial assessment, commissioners, our enhanced benefits program are working as intended. And as always, thank you. Commissioners, we have made great strides being competitive in the government sectors and in recruiting and retaining ACHD professionals to date, and thank you again for your unwavering support on this. However, we are now at a crossroads to continue this excellent trend, and I suggest we must now strongly consider opening our strategic aperture to be more competitive both in the government and private sectors. This is not something to wish for, but something we must now take very seriously as the competition for the same professional is fiercely growing. For your consideration, private construction, design, and planning firms are now offering increased incentives to include consistently climbing salary rates. We currently pay our temp laborers $14 per hour, and our temp CDLs $16 per hour. Professional Plus, our temporary agency, has strongly recommended that we increase our temp laborers to $17 an hour to attract anyone. Now, to put this in perspective, ACHD's basic GEO entry rate is $18 per hour after benefits. Temps potentially will net more than full-time because of benefits. So this will be a challenge. Suez is offering $30 an hour for basic laborers. McDonald's has gone from $8 to $14 per hour. We are now losing great candidates in the bidding wars with their current employees. We are also in a growing battle, not only in recruiting, but in retaining our teams, as we are being seen to be a great place to harvest experienced professionals in every category. You saw the most recent example in this week's operations update. Not only are we facing this challenge, but we are also facing the growing economic challenges that I shared with you last week. As you recall, the CPI is now at 8.1%, 40-year high. Local and other fuel prices, 25% increase from prior month and 50.7% increases per year, year to date. Local diesel fuel prices, 23.5% from prior month and 49.5% increase year to date. Food and beverages up 7.8%. Ada County housing costs have increased 114% from 2017 and 248% since 2012. And now, most recently, Boise City has been named the most unaffordable city for homeowners in the U.S. As such, we are consistently exploring all options to not only retain our team, but also to enhance our team and their work-life balance experience at ACHD. To this end, we will be sharing with you our most recent salary survey that targets both government and private sector wages comparisons in early summer. We are also consistently evaluating our current benefits package with those that are now attempting to mirror ACHD's. However, these actions do not immediately address the growing economic challenges that our team is facing. And as I've shared with you last week, I am recommending an immediate three-pronged approach to mitigate, not gold plate, this issue. Number one, as I shared last week, leverage ACHD VRT bus pass opportunities and enhanced ACHD education awareness. We're starting on that path. Number two, leverage commuter ride options. We're starting on that path to include employee-sponsored vans, increase the best commuter ride program gift card from $20 to $50, use rideshare programs to allow employees to carpool, market the employee computer flex program. I talked to you about that last week, and we are examining opportunities to provide incentives. My hope is that these two categories somewhat mitigate the astronomical fuel costs that we are now experiencing. However, this does not address the increased costs of food, shelter, and day-to-day experiences we are dealing with. My third recommendation targets this. I recommend that the Commission advance 1% of the proposed 2023 COLA that was presented to you in our administrative budget briefing now to mitigate, not gold plate, the increasing cost burdens in day-to-day essentials to our team members. If you agree, we will then deduct the 1% advance in COLA from the FY23 recommended COLA to show the cost and the immediate offset. As an example, if you were to approve a 4% FY23 COLA, then the COLA would be reduced to 3%. Costs to the district for the remainder of FY22 would be approximately $150,000 that would be covered through the second budget adjustment, which includes PERSI and benefits. The average per pay period addition for each team member is approximately $25. To best understand any concerns that our team may have on this, I have shared this hypothetical with our 3 superintendents and several of our managers, mechanics, and several other staff members. All are supportive. Commissioners, it was suggested last week that we should consider segregating salaried and hourly team members with respect to this recommendation and focus only on hourly team members. Let me share a few thoughts on why this may not be the best strategy. As I am positive that you will agree with, all team members are important and provide a critical service to this district. If we exempt salaried team members from this proposal, we are directly impacting those that provide both leadership and critical technical expertise to the district. And it's not just managers and supervisors. It's not. It's engineers, it's surveyors, environmental, finance, legal, safety, and fleet across the board. All project teams, as you all know, are led by project managers, which are salaried, and many of their team members are also salaried. These are critical positions within the district that keep our projects moving forward. By not including them in this financial mitigation plan, if you wish to go on this path, we face the realistic result of losing them. As an example, several months ago, we were at risk of having only one traffic engineer in the district. As I shared with you earlier, today, these positions have been filled in a large part due to our sign-on bonus program that helped to bridge the gap of our starting salaries. Failure to continue salary growth most likely will impact our ability to retain these critical team members, especially in today's evolving market environment. Historically, people come to the district and tend to stay. As I shared with you earlier, The recent climate survey indicated that our team members are looking for a career and want to stay with the district for a career. Commissioners, currently, 37% of our salaried team members started working in the district as an hourly team member. Some even started as temps and interns. These are success stories of their hard work and dedication to grow within our organization. Failing to continue to provide them an opportunity for salary growth sends a mixed message to the career opportunities at the district. Commissioners, I would like to ask you to reflect on some important considerations and differences between salaried and hourly team members. Salaried are not eligible for overtime pay. If they stay late or work on the weekend or in commission meetings, they still get paid based on their 40 hours. Hourly is eligible for overtime. If they work 45 hours, then they receive overtime for the 5 hours. 21% of our hourly team members earn more than some of our salaried team members, 21%. Now this happens in due part to the longevity of our team members, and that's not bad by any stretch of the imagination. As many of you understand in your experiences in leading teams, only providing a benefit increase to part of your team creates a divide between your team. Not good for ACHD. Not providing an increase to salaried team members will also create an impression that fails to recognize the needed expertise and skill set they bring to the district. Finally, and maybe almost most importantly, any miss on any COLA directly impacts every team member's retirement, an issue that all our team members carefully watch. Again, Commissioners, these are interesting, competitive times that we are all in, and maybe, just maybe, the idea of what I call paying it forward or recommending now and reducing a ladder adjustment may make a positive impact and does make sense. Commissioners, thank you for letting me share these insights and thoughts with you. And as they say in the legislature, stand by for your discussions and decisions, and I request your green light on these. So I stand for any questions you might have.
Thank you very much, Director Wong. Commissioners, any comments or questions?
Madam President. Director, thank you for that. I think, just so you know, I'm fully supportive of your first two proposals to mitigate just the challenges that we're facing with the rising cost of living. I think I appreciate your passion and commitment to making sure that the potential salary increase would be applied fairly across, salaried versus paid hourly folks. And I think my biggest thing around that is I would want the investment to go where the biggest shortfalls are. And so like 1% is on a $16 an hour wage, that's 16 cents. So that's not anything substantial that's really going to be felt and not going to be impactful for those folks. And so if we're talking, I think that I personally would like to see more details about, you've lined it out verbally, but we haven't seen any documentation about the 150,000 and that impacts on the budget. You mentioned 150,000, that's what it would cost, correct?
I'm sorry, you're looking for documentation on what I just shared with you?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay.
We can do that.
Yes, thank you. That would be great. And the other thing is, so I think that the investment should go towards the wages, the lowest earning folks the most. So if we're going to expedite it, it should be 2% or something besides 1%, because that just doesn't seem like that big of a dent in what we're facing right now. And, but I just really feel like, I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're kind of putting us on the spot without having any other documentation. Respectfully, you're one of the highest paid directors of a public agency in the county. So I think that it warrants a deeper discussion if we're going to say, oh yeah, it's just applied across the board, when we probably have some pockets of folks that are being paid very well for the work that they're doing. And I don't think a 1% or any increase right now would be appropriate.
Madam President, Commissioner
Director Wong.
Kicking, great comments. And maybe I can respond to a couple of them. First off, if the cost of entry into this is that I would forego that, I volunteer right up front, as I've had with, I think, 7 of our annual pay raises. I've already volunteered not to take that going forward. So I agree with you on that issue. To your point, though, about higher paid individuals, I think it's premature to understand or assume what each individual's financial situations are. And I look at it this way.
And I'm not assuming.
Well, I appeared that your comment.
I am not
was.
assuming.
Okay, well, I got that. But I would ask you to consider this. Regardless of financial considerations, I look at it this way. It's gonna be difficult, not impossible, but difficult to justify a partial benefit for a part of your team as opposed to the other side of the team. Take away the dollars. I also look at it this way. Understanding the makeup of who we are when it comes down to families, how would I or how would you, and if you were the director of the Ada County Highway District, explain to two equally comparable members of our team, one is a single parent with 5 kids, the other one is a single parent with no kids or double income. They both make the same, or one makes a little bit less. I'm not going to make a judgment on the financial distribution of extra dollars. My role here is to put in front of you the idea that I think it'd be a good idea to do something as it moves forward. Now, you will decide, not me, on what that something is, and then we'll execute it.
Well, and I appreciate that, but I take a little bit of offense of you thinking that I'm thinking we would just nitpick who would get a raise and who wouldn't. That's not what I said at all. I'm saying I don't think the director should be lumped in with this. And that was implied as something that was, it would be something that would be on the table. That was what you presented last week. So that's new information that you wouldn't be included in this. And I'm just saying that I would rather the investment go towards where we get the biggest bang for our buck, where we're hemorrhaging the most. And if it's a gradual merit-based, or it's 2% for those in a certain category or job classification, and it goes up, whatever, it doesn't matter to me, but that's at the heart of what I'm trying to get at, not trying to pick and choose who's valuable or who should deserve it more. That's not my point at all. Everyone's hurting. But my point is we should invest it where it makes the most sense, where it's going to be the most impactful, and that's in our lowest wage earners.
So Director Wong, when we do a COLA, when we do our budget and we approve a COLA, that's across the board, correct?
It is, except for me.
Except for you.
Well,
So
it is, except for a few of us.
Right, right. So I
And the
think
commission. You have to make that determination.
I think that was the spirit of advancing the COLA and across the board, because that is something that is across the board. So it was an advance on that we will be doing as part of our budget. The amount varies, whatever we approve, but everybody will be getting some type of COLA. So the proposal for 1% is taken from that established bucket of money. So it wasn't like a separate fund we were creating or something. Yeah. Okay. And that's what I think.
That's why more documentation of an actual plan would be, I think, very appropriate.
I just wanted to make that distinction.
Madam President,
All right, thank you. Commissioner.
I'll just throw out something from my past life. I've probably dealt with literally hundreds of different employers and thousands of employees discussing things like this. And I can guarantee I never came closer to getting cabbages thrown at me than when there was the slightest bit of discrimination, apparent or otherwise, or literal, given to how things like COLAs or benefits or anything else were distributed throughout a business organization. And this is a business organization. And it also, from the I've spent with numerous employees here at every level of the spectrum, and again, meshed with the experience that I've had professionally, I think we'd be making a huge mistake to determine in my vocabulary only the winners and losers as far as advancing any portion of a COLA across the board.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or
Yeah, Madam
questions?
President,
Commissioner McKinney.
Just 2 comments. I'm inclined to agree with Commissioner Goldthorpe on the, differentiating between different employees. I think it would make for the morale of the organization, it would be a mistake to say, you folks get something, you folks don't. My only other comment on this is that, I'm in favor of this. The concept makes perfect sense, and the truth is, at the rate inflation is going, we're gonna be very soon back again considering the same thing again. Simply that's just kind of, I'm looking down the road and seeing that inflation is picking up steam, and it's absolutely necessary to do something now, and we may need to do something again in the very near future as well, simply because we've got to be competitive, be able to keep our people. And that's, we have seen the problems with that in the past, with the number leaving of experienced people, and the reality is we've got to stay competitive to be able to keep good people here and not have them leaving to go elsewhere. So those are my only thoughts. I think this is a good idea.
Thank you.
Madam President, thank you, and, I think I agree with everybody who's been up here. I really appreciate Commissioner Pickering pointing out that it wasn't made clear last week that commissioners and the director would not be included in this, because when I asked about, is it included everybody, the answer was yes, it includes everybody. But I think, more importantly, and I would ask that we dive deeper into the compensation package and determine where, in fact, there are areas where we might be having a harder time retaining people. And I think it's, my assumption is that we are taking this out of the current year's budget. So the one we approved last summer, we're not making a budget decision in advance of the budget decision. So we're basically, and then we will build upon that. So but I also agree that if you don't look at the range between the lowest paid and the highest paid, it just continually creeps wider apart. And I think the strength of an organization is when they keep the range between the lowest paid and the highest paid within a reasonable level. Because then you do build sort of concern within the organization. We've seen many corporations where it's just so massively out of whack, and yeah, they're giving their frontline workers, a 3 or 5% raise, but then they give their highest ones, which turn into significantly more than is justified. So I really do want to see a deeper analysis, a deeper dive into that. I'd like to see the lower wages raised more than the suggested hourly rates, because at $14, $16, $17, $20 an hour, that's still not a livable wage. And if they're working full time for us, we really need to look much deeper into raising our livable wage for our workers. We're expecting a lot out of them, much higher than what has been proposed. So that's where I put the emphasis. Make sure that we don't have this really wide gap between the highest paid and lowest paid, and push that bottom wage level, whether it's hourly or salaried, up so that it's livable. And in these two counties, Canyon and Ada, these lowest paid wages are not livable. And thank you for clarifying who is and who isn't included.
Madam President?
Oh,
Thank you very much. Director Wong, did you have a comment?
yeah, I was going to say, Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, as I indicated, you'll be seeing our most recent salary survey, as we're already starting that process in early summer, and that will share with you, as you said, the disparity and where we should target a bit more. But that will be that'll be a different discussion for the FY24 budget process going forward, as we say here. Yeah, 23.
FY23.
23,
budget,
thank
I
you.
think you meant.
Commissioner Goldthorpe?
Yeah, I think Jim went way the cart before the horse when he assumed that we'd all agreed that the commission was included, when it was just the director that had volunteered to forego this. That wasn't even brought up until he mentioned it.
And for the record, I volunteered.
And I just want to refocus the conversation, bring up some valid points that we can take that broader look at the disparity there. But right now, we're talking about a COLA that everybody gets. And when we award the COLA or vote on the COLA in the budget, we don't divide that up. That's just, the cost of living increase that, all of our employees get. So what we're talking about now with the economic times the way they are and the prices going up, an advance in the COLA, and then that would offset what they're going to get in the budget approval that we're going forward. So it's not, we're not doing like a merit pay and deciding, you know, that's something that can be looked at and tackled at a later date. This is just merely an advance of a COLA that we do every year. So I want to make sure everybody's focused on that. So I don't know if you, are you saying perhaps 1% for salary, 2% for hourly, or we're just talking about a 1% COLA increase across the board, so.
Madam President, I think that, so that makes me wonder then, so Director, like why a 1% COLA and not something that had a little bit more fluidity around like merit-based? Like what was the rationale behind a COLA, 1% versus something that was more nuanced, like you've just described, that might be later in the process? Is it just because of the expediency that you want to just have this done now? So just more context around that you have this tool in your tool belt, right, versus other tools, and when might those other tools come into play? That's helpful information for me to know, to also gauge how we can leverage this particular proposal for the greater good of the agency, right?
Madam President, Commissioner Pickering, Commissioners, I will be more than happy to have that to you in a very short amount of time.
So we still have, thank you, Director Wong, we still have the proposal for the 1% COLA across the board. Do we want to put this off and wait for some more information, or are we ready to have a motion to approve in advance of the COLA
Is this
for all
something,
employees?
is this something for which we need a motion?
It's an action item,
It's an
yes.
action item.
Okay, all right.
This obviously doesn't
Commissioner.
provide it. Make it clear, because we are paid by the agency, that it wouldn't include the 5 people, 4 commissioners and the director, yeah.
I mean, that can be.
5
that can-
commissioners. and
That
the
can be
director. That's
specified.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. 6.
So which one
Gotta
of you
do my
gets it?
math.
That
Commissioners and the director.
Yeah. No,
that can be part
only
of
the
the,
president
Draw
gets it.
straws.
part of the motion, absolutely.
Yeah, thanks.
Madam President, I would rather, I mean, I'm all in favor of it, but I just really would rather have some documentation, and it just, because we just heard the director's proposal, but there hasn't been any concrete, information that I would like to review that would make me feel a little bit more comfortable before voting, but that's just me.
Yeah, no, I would agree with Commissioner Pickering too.
That, you know, deeper dive when we look and we start going through the budget process for merit pay, et cetera, and different classifications for increased pay.
I'll just make one comment, and it'll probably be about the only comment I make even through the budget season about this. It bugs me more and more as we go along how worthless some people up here consider the commissioner's time and efforts. If you extrapolate what we do as commissioners to a full-time position, we're paid less than the lowest person that works for ACHD by a good percentage. And some of us put in a whole lot more time at this than others. And I think it's virtue signaling at its worst when we consider that we're worth any less than anybody else in this organization. And I would actually include the director in that too, but he had the opportunity to volunteer one way or the other how this applies to him. You want to keep leaving the commission out of these kinds of discussions and how it applies, you'll get a no vote from me every single time, because it's just gone on and on and on. Thank you.
All right, commissioners, we've got an item before us. Is there a motion?
Madam President, I would move that we approve the COLA advancement and other, what are we calling them, incentive plans that have been presented by the director,
In the amount?
exactly as he's presented them.
I'll second that.
All right, further discussion.
Madam President, I would just ask that we do this next week, and we actually have
There's no
an
meeting next
extra
week.
or in 2 weeks, and we have a figure in front of us. I don't even know what the bottom line figure is to the budget.
$150,000.
I think we had that.
Yes.
Right. And it would be an offset.
Correct.
Right.
Is there any more discussion on this item? No? All right, we have a motion before us to provide the 1% COLA across the board. The team, excluding
Excluding me.
Director Wong. Is that part of the, okay, as presented?
And wouldn't it be in the commission, because that was also implied in the, or no? No?
I just volunteered for me. That's up to you.
Otherwise, the motion is across the board.
Okay, well, I just want you guys to know, sorry, Madam President, I will not be in favor of that, because I feel like we need to have a more robust discussion in 2 weeks once we have that documentation.
I agree.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? All right, we have the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
No.
Motion carries.
And if there's a way, I'm looking at Sherry, if there's a way not to have that included in mine, I would be appreciate, so that it's, I know you treat the commissioners all as one group, but I'm not interested in seeing that advancement in mine.
Mr. Price?
I'll just write a check back to you.
Madam President, Commissioner Steve Price, General Counsel for the record. There's specific statutory requirements on any salary increase for commissioners. And so this would not apply to the commission. You would have to do that through the budget process.
Got a misimpression there. Thank you.
You beat me to the punch. All right. All right, thank you very much.
Madam President, it is now a little bit after 6.
All right, thank you. All right, everyone, welcome to our commission meeting. If you would please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have a few guests. Come on in and join us. We're happy to have everybody here with us this evening.
Madam President, I have a question on the agenda that I just discovered. So when it's appropriate.
Go ahead and adopt the agenda and then entertain.
That's the question I need to answer. The printed agenda we have in front of us does not indicate that it is the version that was amended and restated at 10:45 a.m. yesterday. So this might be an older version. The one that's online is, and the only difference appears to be that the one online shows the item 4 on the consent agenda, which is the VRT letter of support dated the 18th. So we ought to make sure that when we approve the agenda, it's the agenda that was posted on the website as amended and restated at 10:45 a.m. yesterday, and not the piece of paper that we might have in front of us, which
Okay,
is actually an older version.
Okay, I believe it was the addition of the letter.
Madam President, Commissioner Hanson, thank you. You apparently do have an out-of-date one. I do have the appropriate one in front of you, so.
Thank you.
But thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner
Madam
Hanson.
President,
Commissioner McKinney?
one other item on the agenda. We have talked about switching items 1 and 2 on the regular agenda. Would it also make sense to handle public communications before we go with the sweeper art contest winners? Would it make sense to handle public communications before we deal with the contest? I think that would be a better way to go. So,
Yeah, since we're gonna go
I
outside.
think we can do
Right.
that.
Yeah,
Okay.
I would have no objection to that
That makes
at
good
all.
sense.
Yep, and we can just include that in our motion when we adopt the agenda. So we will move to that, and there is a motion?
Okay, Madam President, I would make a motion to approve the agenda as posted on our website, amended and restated 3/22/2022 at 10:45 a.m. with the change that we switch the order on the regular agenda of items 1 and 2, and that we place public communications prior to the item, which now is item 2, before that, which would be the sweeper art contest. So move public communications up before we do the presentation by staff on the sweeper art.
All right.
So with that, I would move to approve the agenda.
All right, very good. Very
Second.
good. Is there a second? Oh, all right. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thank you very much. Next, we have the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a commissioner or citizen so requests, in which case the item will be removed from the consent agenda and placed on the regular agenda. All consent agenda items are commission action items unless noted. Do we have a motion?
Yes, Madam President, I move that we accept or approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a
Second.
All right, we have a motion before us. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Our first item, resolution, no, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And you did it so well, Commissioner Hanson. Resolution number 2375, vacation of public right-of-way for Alliance Residential Company at Boise City Original Townside Alley Way. And this is a public hearing, and I will go ahead and open the public hearing.
Madam President, is this appropriate to go ahead and?
I think now we're going to close
Make
Yes.
a
the public
comment
hearing. Yes.
and then close.
So after opening, we will now close the public hearing. All right. Commissioner Goldthorpe, do you have a motion?
Yes, to, now that the public hearing is closed, to vacate this from the agenda and
Remove.
send it back wherever it came from.
Return to staff indefinitely.
Okay, so we have a motion
To
to
staff.
accept.
Second.
And we have a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All right, hearing none. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Thank you very much. Now to the fun part of our evening.
Public
Oh, no, we're gonna
communications.
do public communications.
Yes.
Is there anyone in the audience or online that has signed up that wishes to address the commission? No? All right. Going once? All right, no public communications. Now we will go to the fun part of the evening, and that is our ACHD Sweeper Art Contest presentation by staff. And Shandy Lamb will come forward.
Are you guys seeing my screen
No.
on Zoom?
No.
All right. Good evening, Madam President, Commissioners. I'm so excited to be here tonight. I'm actually going to present from over here because I am not the star of the show. So I am here, for the record, Deputy Director of Communications, Shandy Lamb, and I'm really excited to talk about this last year's art contest. So this is the 2021 art contest, even though we're in 2022 now giving the awards. But first thing I want to do is just revisit what the art contest was. So this year's art contest theme was Seasons of Transportation, and we had 16 eligible participants. So we appreciate all of them, and honestly, it was pretty incredible to see the talent that came through for this year's art contest, and everybody had their work cut out for them to choose the winners. A couple of the winners know that they are the winners, and some of them do not know, just based on how the judging was going. So I'll explain all of that. But first of all, I just want to run through all of them because they were all so amazing. I'm going to apologize in advance if I get anybody's name wrong. I do have a little phonetic cheat sheet here, but I'm going to try my hardest, but I apologize if I mispronounce anybody's. So on your screens, you'll be seeing the artwork, the students' names, their grades, and their school. So first off, this piece of art is from Evelyn Quillicke, 6th grader at St. Mark's Catholic School.
Next, I have Maitene Lete, a 6th grader at St. Mark's Catholic School. I have Clara Little, a 7th grader at Pi STEM Academy. Macy Ivy, a 6th grader from Heritage Middle School. Emmeline Hershey, a 6th grader at Tech Prep Academy. Grant Brown, Lewis Clark Middle School 6th grader. Carolyn Thurman, Lewis and Clark Middle School 8th grader. Emmy Dinger, a 6th grader at Lewis and Clark Middle School. Sneha Sharma, a senior at Layla, I know I'm going to get that one wrong. Layla Geidel, a 6th grader at Lewis and Clark Middle School. Lucy Mills, Rocky Mountain High School 11th grader. Taylin Baeza, a 10th grader at Boise High. Victoria Couples, an 8th grader from Star Middle School. And Joe DeRocha, a 9th grader at Renaissance High School. Liesel Sang, a 10th grader at Idaho Fine Arts Academy. And Trey Thompson, Lewis and Clark Middle School 6th grader. So if we can just start with a round of applause and thank all of the participants.
Well done.
So artwork, we received canvas, watercolor, color pencil, crayon. The one that you're seeing on the screen right now is actually on a trifold piece of cardboard, so they even recycled as they were doing it. So we just had so many great entries, and we did judging in a few different ways. So I'm going to invite President May down, if you wouldn't mind joining us as we announce the winners. We do have some surprises for the winners today. So each of our winning artists will receive a swag bag, a $50 gift card, a certificate, and director, if I can invite you up, the director also has a director's challenge coin for each of the participants, highly coveted challenge coin. So as I call the winners' names, and I know not everybody is able to be here, we do have some students online as well, and then others are celebrating their victories elsewhere for spring break. But if I do call your name, if you wouldn't mind coming up and grabbing your prizes, that would be wonderful. And then for those other participants that are online or are not here, we'll be making connections to make sure that everybody gets their certificate. All right, so our first judging was done actually by Team ACHD. So we put out all of the pieces of art to our internal staff and those that probably know the organization the best out of anybody, and we let them decide on our first award. Our Team Choice Award was chosen early on, and it went to Taylin Baeza. Thank you so much. I didn't look at my cheat sheet. So congratulations. If you want to come on up and get... Yeah, get in there for a photo. Thank you so much, Taylin. And the really cool thing about Taylin's was that it was kind of like 4 art pieces in one. So we were able to divide those out and blow them up nice and large, which you guys will all get a sneak peek of. All right, our next award was the People's Choice Award. So this one went out to all of our folks on social media and the internet. There were a lot of votes that came in, and the choice was clear. So I think you go by Joe, is that correct? Joe DeRosia? Come on. Congratulations. Excellent, thank you so much. Kaylin and Joe did know that they were winners because we did their votes publicly and early on. The next winners were actually chosen from our committee that was made up of a couple of staff members as well as external folks who work in the city art programs, so the art commissions. And they went through a whole scoring sheet based on all sorts of different things. And we came up with 4 additional winners. So our committee selection winners, based on the rubric that they were given: Sneha Sharma. I don't know that she is here, but we'll give her a round of applause anyway. Emmy Dinger, also celebrating elsewhere, possibly online. Carolyn Thurman, Lewis and Clark. If you wouldn't mind getting in for a picture, we'd love that. If you don't want to, you don't have to. Okay. Right. And Clara Little, a 7th grade student at Pi STEM Academy. Right. And those are our winners of the contest. Although all of these kids were absolutely incredible, we appreciate all of their participation. I do want to thank again those that volunteered to judge us and our awesome maintenance department for all of their help in coordinating. So our sweeper program is a really important program for a lot of reasons, and these great pieces of art are wrapped on our sweeper trucks. Essentially, it's artwork in motion all across Ada County, so you'll see them on the road. And we actually have our first sweeper truck wrapped. If you saw it in the parking lot, pretend like you didn't. We're gonna have an unveiling. So we're gonna head outside and check out the first sweeper truck that's been wrapped. The other sweeper trucks are trickling in. They're actually all brand new sweepers. So as soon as they get here, then we'll start wrapping those ones as well. And then we'll be contacting schools too to see if we can do something at each winner's school also. So if you're online, please let us know if you are one of the winners. We will get you your prizes. We will be contacting everybody to mail out certificates and whatnot otherwise. But thank you guys so much. So I want to invite everybody outside to check out the sweeper.
So we will stand adjourned as we go outside.
Can I leave?
You don't have to.
Can I leave this?
If you don't want to. Oh.
No, they're done. They adjourned.